Hello, I'm going to talk about the new style ESB reading exam, which we've just done as a college end of year reading exam. This is an entry 3 exam, but a lot of this, well, this generally applies to all the levels for ESB. I'm going to look at the main differences between that and Cambridge exams, which most of our staff are used to marking in that very specific way. But it's the differences to ESB. So many of you will know and remember that actually ESB doesn't pass or fail by pass mark, but you only pass if you meet all of the criteria for that exam at least once in the exam, whether it's reading or writing and speaking and listening. So look at this reading exam. So you can see this is the mark scheme. I printed it out, and you've got the answers here, but on this side you have the assessment criteria next to the answer for each question. There's 21 questions. So if you just go through and mark the questions right or wrong and get a score out of 21, then you'll get a percentage. So in this case it's out of 21. If your pass mark nominal that you decided was 70%, then someone who gets 15 out of 20 would pass. It'd be like 72% or something like that. But they could have failed to meet one of the criteria if they got there's three questions in this paper for each criteria. You can see that in the mark scheme. So there are 7 criteria and there's 3 questions for each, so they get 3 chances to get that criteria right. So someone who's got 6 wrong could easily have failed on one of the criteria if they got those each of those 3 questions wrong for that criteria. And this is actually the case with one of our students in this class. He got 15 out of 21 and got all the questions wrong for criteria 2.1, identify the purpose of a short straightforward text. And in fact the whole class is pretty weak on that, but so far she's the only one that's failed in that criteria. So you have to not just mark right or wrong, but you have to have a record, a system of knowing whether they passed each criteria. So I'll show you one paper I just marked. Example here. What I do is, well, I'll show you the next one to mark. Blank sheet. This one, for this net criteria, I write down the criteria. I don't copy them out, it'll take too long. You just write criteria, and then you just put 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 2.1, 3.1, 4.1. These are listed in the mark scheme. You don't have to write out what they are, just the reference numbers. And so there you have, you'll see better like this tonight. The criteria listed here, which you'll tick if they've got at least one of the questions for that criterion correct. You don't know yet, then you just go through the paper, mark it, correct, right or wrong. In this case, let's see if I can pause this. Okay, off pause. Okay, so I just marked the student's paper, as in the questions right or wrong, according to the mark scheme. And he got a few wrong, so he got 15 out of 21 correct. So he could well have, we've got to check if he's met each of the criteria at least one time. So you can see it's quite conveniently organised by ESB so that the criteria run in order for each task. There's 3 tasks. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and so on. So you can just check the first 7 questions to see which they got right. And then if they've got right, you can tick that criterion because they've got it right at least one time. And then the ones they haven't, you go on further and check whether they've got subsequent questions for that criterion correct or not. So you can see here, let's go through questions 1 to 7. Which ones has he got right? He's got 2, 3, 6, 2, 3 and 6, that's all. So we go to the criterion on the front, yeah. So we tick 2, 3 and 6, 2, 3, 6. So I need to check the other criterion, okay? So the first one is questions 1, 8 and 15. So 1 is wrong, we check question 8. That's question 8. That's right. Okay, so we tick that criterion. That's right at least once. Next one that's missing is 1.4. That's questions according to the mark scheme 4, 11, 18. So we check question 11. That's right. Okay, cool. So we can tick that. Then the next one is criteria 2.1. That's 5, 12 and 19. So let's check 12. 12 is right, so we tick that one. And the last one, 4.1, is question 7, 14 and 21. So question 14 is wrong. This is alphabetical order. 21 is right. So he got it right at the last hurdle. So luckily for the students, he has passed all the criteria. That's marked on the front of the paper. 15 out of 21 will be low 70s%. We'll work that out later. But this, I think we need to do this because if they don't pass each criteria, actual ESB exams, they will fail, even if they've got over 70% or whatever. Okay, well I hope that's been useful. I think this can, as I say, this is an E3 paper, but I think a similar thing needs to be done, whatever way you want to organise it, for whatever level ESB exam you're marking, even if they're mocks for the college, because you know they will be put in for actual ESB exams and they will be marked according to that. I don't know how it'll be. It'll up to you how you organise it. I'm just showing you the way I've approached it for this marking this reading exam, and I hope it's of some use to some of you. Thanks very much for watching.